Whoa. What's going on, guys? It's me, Rich, and I'm back with another episode of BTC 2.0. This week, we have Mark London on the show, CEO of Mad Cave Studios and a creator himself. Now, listen, I firmly believe comic books are an intrinsic part of our artistic and cultural landscape. We live with an embarrassment of riches from creators and comic companies. It's truly an age of splendor when it comes to comics and art. Not only do you have your big two, your big indies, your smaller indies, your zines, but you also have a huge swath of successful Kickstarter comic book related projects as well. It's pretty cool. You know, if you're a fan, you can get out there and find something for you, even if you're not a fan and you want to just start reading about comics. I know a lot of people have found this show because of the wrestling podcast I do, and I'm trying to get more of that crossover. You know, I want that wrestling / comic book joint happening. But, you know, if you're looking for new stuff, try comics. You know, if you like fiction, if you like palpable, artistic, awesome material that'll get you through your days, comic books. I had a fun conversation with Mark. We run the gamut of all things creative. We talk collecting. We talk comics, of course. We talk influences, film. He's got a bunch of cool stuff. He says a bunch of cool stuff. And here we go. Hey, guys. Welcome to the show. Mark London. Mark, how are you?
Hi, Rich. Thank you for having me.
Listen, thanks for coming on. You know, I'm glad we got to make this work. I feel like I've been chasing after you for a few weeks, and we finally got a day where we can sit and talk.
That's great. No, my apologies. I mean, we've been swamped lately, but again, we're here now. So
Absolutely. And you're a busy guy too. You are, for people that are listening and watching, Mark London, you are the CEO and Chief Executive Officer of Mad Cave. Arguably, probably, I would say in the last 3 years, the hottest up and coming indie publisher, right?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I don't know.
I feel like whenever I go to my comic shop, folks are always chattering about like the Mad Cave stuff, like big time, especially like when Nottingham came out. You know, like I remember going there like every week, and folks were just like, hey, what's the deal with this? Like, when's the second printing coming out? And did you guys go up to like 8 printings with that first issue?
Yeah. It was crazy because we didn't account for the success of the book at first. Again, you just mentioned it. I mean, when you're an up and coming publisher, again, you're still filling out the industry, the consumer appetites, stretching, I mean, your creative reach with a lot of the titles that you're putting out. So with Nottingham, it basically just caught us by surprise. And yeah, we went something like a 7th, 8th printing. It was insane. Happy problem to have, though.
Oh, absolutely. Great book too. You know, like I feel there's obviously a reason
Thank
when
you.
when books fly off the shelf, you know, there's a reason for it more often than not, you know. And you know, like fantastic book, and like a lot of the stuff that you guys put out is really good. And I always recommend it, you know, just because like it's fresh, it's newer. It seems like a lot of the stuff that Mad Cave puts out has a lot of love behind it. So, you know, like on your bio on the Mad Cave website, I want to ask you about this. It says you made a commitment to your amazing wife to pursue your passion and your dreams. So unpack
Yes.
that for me. I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, but listen, you've never been on my show before. So, you know, feel free, take your time, answer it. I want to hear the story.
Of course. And thank you for asking that question because I think it comes down to why we created Mad Cave and why we're doing what we love. Um, I had a 9 to 5, like most people, but for me, storytelling, world building, comic books, animation, movies, TV shows, they have always been like my jam. So again, I had a 9 to 5 job, but I always had this itch, like I really to write my own stories. I had a passion for it. Well, yeah, when you're starting out, you kind of like rub 2 words together. You show it to some closest of your friends, and they may be like, yeah, this has range, or oh my god, I'm really investing in this. So I nagged my wife, and I was always a little bit like frustrated, like, man, this is really what I want to do, and I think that this is my calling, this is my passion. And she was like, yeah, but what are we gonna do? I mean, what about your job, this and that? And I think that I just probably exasperated her to death until the point that she basically just told me, like, listen, you know what? If you're gonna do this, just do it. And I'm like, really? I mean, are you giving me the okay? I mean, do I have your blessing? And she was like, yeah, 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 but do it quick before I change my mind. So I'm like, okay, the wife's on board. So that was always a fun pat in the back. So I kind of like started like writing my own stuff, but I wanted to do it as um, just build like a fan page and just throw in a couple of pages here and there, just like
Mhm.
my commitment for the craft and the passion of all this, and just put it there, just for the sake of it. But when we were, so I contacted a programmer, an agency that actually could help me build a website, and when they started looking at everything that I had planned, they were like, "Hey, dude, I think that you probably have something more to say about this. Maybe you can build like a business out of it." So I was like, okay. And I started meeting like-minded folks that were into graphic design, that were into comics, that were into animation, and everything started growing. So I started putting like some of the IPs together. And because at first I was the one that was doing like all the writing and launching all the books for Mad Cave, but again, it was a passion project. It wasn't supposed to turn out to be what it is today. So so that's why the commitment. I mean, first, which I'm grateful. I mean, is to my wife because she had my back and she supported me, and we've been doing this for 8 years, and every single year we kind of see. Uh, what we've accomplished, and it's so refreshing and humbling to hear you talk like that about Mad Cave, and what people say on the street. So it's just a reflection of what we love to do, and it's good that it's gaining some traction.
Well, that's a fantastic story too. And listen, it always pays to have a supportive wife. I definitely can identify with that. Many years ago, I almost did the same thing. I'm a photographer. I'm a full-time
Uh-huh.
freelance photographer. And when I quit my 9 to 5 to pursue that full time, we had that conversation, and it was basically like, hey, listen, if this doesn't work out in a couple of years, I will go get a job at Con Edison or something.
Hmm.
But knock on wood,
Hmm.
10 years later, I'm still here, and it always
Uh-huh.
pays to have somebody in your corner to support that passion. Um, Now, did you grow up a comic book fan?
Yes, yes. I was and that was a little bit like my worry at first, because when you turn your passion or your hobby into your job, the lines get a little bit blurred, and,
Yeah.
and sometimes it happens. But I think on the other hand, when you grow up with this stuff, and when you love it so much, well, you really kind of like have a certain idea of the type of product that you want to put out there, or the type of things that might resonate with the audience. And nowadays, I mean, the publishing landscape is vast. There's so many different genres that you can take. There's so many um, fan bases that you can tackle, that it's overwhelmingly
Hmm.
um, possible to actually get drowned in the sea of content that is out there. So,
Oh yeah.
but and that was one of the things that with Matt Cave we were like, okay, but if you take a look at Matt Cave's books, you're gonna see like, okay, there's a horror book here, and there's sci-fi book here, and there's a fantasy book here. Okay, so we like to say that we appeal to a lot of different tastes, depending on what you like.
Mhm.
But everything that you see is because I was exposed to this stuff growing up. So in a sense, these are like passions of mine, like on a page that hopefully, I mean, people can identify with, and then they can really
Mhm.
enjoy.
I think that also comes with just being a comic book fan, because you can't just read one comic, you can't just read one style, especially now. Like I always say this
Mm.
on this show, and when I talk to my friends, or if somebody asks me about comic books, it's always like, listen, it's an embarrassment of riches out there. There are so many good books, and there are so many books that are for everybody. And also, if you
Yeah.
look through like the previews catalog, you'll see like
Oh
it's
my
like a
God.
1.5 inch thick giant book that has so, and I always bring that out too. If somebody asks me, or like if somebody doesn't really know about comics, and they're like, how many comic books could there possibly be? Because most people think it's just, Spider-Man and Superman, and that's it, So I always show them the catalog, and I'm like,
Hmm.
no, 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 this is a lot of stuff. Not all of it's great, don't get me wrong, but
Hmm.
there's a lot of
You're
like
right.
really, really solid stuff. And it seems like, that's great. You guys are kind of separating yourself from the pack like a little
Hmm.
bit now. I shouldn't say a lot, like you guys are
Hmm.
separating yourself a lot by putting out like quality work, and folks seem to dig it,
Hmm.
like that must make you feel amazing.
Hmm. Absolutely, and that is something that we try to strive at Mad Cave. And again, it's been a learning curve, like everything. But again, we really want um, for people to actually get more bang for their buck, and actually enjoy the product. And every single book that comes out of Mad Cave has to be top quality, has to have a certain level. There are different tastes for everything, and again, art is subjective, and what might appeal to somebody might not resonate so well with others. But still, at the end, we try to be like, okay, did we constructed this? Did we put this together properly, the right way? And when those boxes are checked, then we feel accomplished and we feel very happy.
So are you guys doing more of kind of like a grassroots approach, mainly like almost like I don't want to say like a street team, but are you guys doing
Mhm.
it kind of like old school? Are you tabling at conventions? Are you getting out there to meet public interest? Or, like walk me through that process of how you guys get your books in front of people, like specifically.
Mhm. That's a great question, Rich. Well, the thing is that yes, a lot of folks might think that, hey, okay, I just put out my book and I'm gonna make $1 million, and then I'm just gonna make it big.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work because it's not only the books themselves, it's how you promote them, how you talk about them, when you
Mhm.
expose them, as you're saying. No, we do have street teams, and we are like rock stars that basically just
Mhm.
tour the country and go into different conventions and trying to get close to the fans. And our the marketing team is pretty beefed up. I mean, it's led by Alison Marie Pond, and she's a phenomenal marketing director. And we take care of not only the people that we're bringing on board, because Mad Cave now takes creator-owned projects, but also the projects that are owned by Mad Cave, and we hire people to do work for hire. We promote everybody the same. We promote each book the same. When we do our yearly talent search, we promote the hell out of you. So it's not just like, okay, there's the book. I mean, because what you were saying, there's so much competition. And again, if you take a look at that previous catalog, it's that's a freaking tome. That's like an ancient tome that you're gonna
It
get
really is.
lost if. It really is, and people don't have time to just like go over it unless you know exactly what you're looking for, or something it's very very catchy and appeals to you and be like, okay, I want this. So there's so much competition that you definitely need to go out there and talk as much as possible about the book. That's why, again, shout out to you, Rich. Thank you so much for doing this for the little guys, because you are basically helping us to try to get the word out there.
Hey, listen, I would love to do anything I can, especially for something I support and something I like. Like you guys are fantastic. And also like I think just being accessible like you are really also sets you apart. Like there's plenty of companies that are very like closed off or closed minded. Um,
Mhm.
but I really like that fact that, if somebody wanted to drop you a line, they could get in touch with you like immediately. And I think that helps, especially when you're putting
Mhm.
out like quality work. Now,
Mhm.
are you still collecting comics, or is it how the sausage is made and you're just concentrating on writing and putting out newer stuff?
Mhm. Oh no, no, nobody's gonna take away that. I mean, for me, the collecting aspect of things. I mean, I still buy art. I still buy CGC books. I still go to my local comic book shop and I pick the books that I like. I mean, for me, it's just it's my nature. Right? So one thing is not going to basically overshadow the other. Of course, there are days that you spend probably like 12 hours talking about books and talking about editors and talking about proofreadings and talking about story and everything, and you're just beat. But sure, like always before I go to bed, yeah, I'm reading either a comic book or a book or an article because because I also have that hat as a writer, and this famous words by Stephen King. I mean, I will never forget them. Is like, if you want to be a writer, and if you're not writing, you should be reading. And when you're not reading,
Mm.
you should be writing. So it's kind of like the thing. So I always try to keep a book close by. I've always tried to keep a graphic novel close by. I mean, it's because it's what I enjoy, and because it also
Mm.
helps me. I mean, to become better at exactly everything that we're trying to do. Not only for my passion as a writer and as a creator, but also because it helps Mad Cave, the type of books that we're putting out there. What's the market hungry for? What are the books that are resonating? If this first issue caught Rich's attention, why did it make an impact of him? Okay,
Mm.
let's try to see. Oh my God, okay, beautifully drawn. I mean, it's fantastically written. Okay, look at the cover design. Look at everything. So sometimes I go and I try to like reverse engineer and have to like uh, tear apart like every single product or movie or everything that I'm watching. Sometimes it's exhausting, but sometimes I just have to force myself and be like, no, enjoy it, take it all in. So the lines do get a little bit blurred, but nobody's gonna take away my passion for comic books and collecting and nothing like that.
See, that's fantastic. I like to hear that. Like it's always good, especially from somebody who runs like a publishing company and is a writer. Like I feel like I believe John Cleese said something along the same lines where if you're a creator, you never stop creating. Even if you're going to the post office, if you're eating your breakfast, you're thinking about the next step and you will eventually get there. It's not that you're being
Mm-hmm.
lazy, it's that's just part of the process, where you can sit down, decompress, and let everything flow out of you. Now,
Mm-hmm.
as somebody who's again, CEO of Mad Cave, what are you reading now that you're enjoying, either books or comics?
I'm gonna show you.
Sure.
I am going to show you. Look, this is my fresh pile that I just basically just picked um, last week. And again, I tried to actually read like a bunch of things. So, for example, I picked this out.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so I thought that it was fantastic. Okay, book two,
I
Mr.
just picked
Brubaker.
that up too. Yeah. Well, he can do
Cool,
no wrong.
cool. He can do no wrong. Yes, he's one of those guys that you're like, oh, everything that he puts out is
Yeah.
so amazing.
Yeah.
So that's it. This one, I don't know if
Oh
you
yeah,
read it,
fantastic.
but I
Yeah, yeah.
mean, fantastic. And my boy Tom King.
Oh yeah. He's another one. He's another one that could do no wrong.
Yeah. So this is my pile for the week. So I just need to hit Sunday, clear those out, and next week I will just like rinse and repeat, and I just
Oh,
go,
it's the
and
best.
that's how I try to spend my days.
Yeah. No, no, that's
but
the best.
but you're right. I mean, there's
Mm.
and don't get me started. I mean, that's only comics because
Yeah.
also like I like to watch a good movie. I like to be watching a cool animation show. So it's all the industry. It's all the storytelling aspect. It's all the cool fun stuff that it's out there. So
Now, where are you getting your main influences from? Is there like a genre director or writer that you really enjoy that kind of as a writer, you can't help let stuff kind of seep in a little bit, So like
mhm.
what are your favorites? Like who are your go-to influences?
Fantastic question. You're actually asking the right questions. I've always
Thank
had
you.
a soft spot.
Mhm.
No, I've always no, no, because this is the type of question that I really, really like because I really have a. I like to think that I have a cool answer for it. So
Yeah.
it's just like for me, I have a soft spot for action. So I
Mhm.
mean, those creators, I mean, like James Cameron,
Mhm.
like Steven Spielberg, um, even a little bit of Michael Bay, although he gets a lot of shit. Pardon my French. Um,
Oh, forget it, man. Listen, like give me The Rock. Like
yeah,
there's certain movies that are unbeatable that Michael Bay has done, you know?
you're right. You're right. Exactly. Something like The Rock or Ambulance was fantastic. It
Yeah.
was something that I was like, so it's like when this guy goes a little
Mhm.
bit smaller, like he's a little bit more contained,
Yeah.
he produces magic. So I've always had a soft spot, I mean, for those type of movies
Mhm.
and those type of big directors back in the day. So and yeah, don't get me started on George Lucas and the big influences that we have. Sure. Um, Also Peter Jackson, I mean, with his
Yeah.
both trilogies to Lord of the Rings, all that stuff, like those big, bombastic, widescreen movies. Like I've always had like a soft spot for that. But for me, it's also movies or directors that are a little bit more cerebral, that they have a little bit more craft to it. Stanley Kubrick is one
For
of
sure.
them. I really like Christopher Nolan. Those directors really, really make stuff pop. So it's just like,
Give me your
so
top two favorite Kubrick movies.
oof, I think that would have to
Mhm.
go with Clockwork Orange,
Okay.
and I would probably. Ugh,
I'm asking the tough questions today.
yes, you are. It's because my second could be. I mean, it might be a tie, for very very different reasons. Because I really really like The Shining, and but I also like Full Metal Jacket. At least the first half of that movie is just like it just blows my mind for a very
Yeah.
uncomfortable um different reasons, but so yeah, I would probably have to say those three: Clockwork Orange, Shining, and Full Metal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
number one for me always floats between Clockwork Orange and The Shining, and usually in the third spot it's going to be Doctor Strangelove, and then like
Mm-hmm.
Barry Lyndon, like right underneath that because that's a weird movie too. I feel like that not a lot of people have
Gotcha.
seen.
That's a weird movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But again, so this guys, I mean, you that's why for me, and
Mhm.
I guess that's why at Mad Cave we do have so many different type of stories and so many different genres that you may be like, oh, okay, these guys are not just going the sci-fi route. Okay, these guys are not just going the horror route. Which sometimes it makes it harder for the marketing or how you promote your books because
Right,
then,
right.
right, because you try to like um, segment your audience and you basically try to, okay, horror fans, okay, so let's attack the horror fans, and then what are the different ages, what are the different categories, where are you in? But when you're like in a plethora of content and genres and different books and everything, so who do you target? It's not just like, oh, I target comic book fans. Wrong. That's the
Right.
worst possible answer that you can get.
Yeah.
Um so so I guess that those influences are the ones that I always try to just like sip in, and those are just to name a few. Because I have so many, Rich.
Oh, sure. Like again, that I think that just comes hand in hand with, being a creator
Hmm.
and being a writer is like you can't help but kind of, sometimes overanalyze things. For example, like two examples of I think of like filmatically, two movies that I could watch over and over again and really analyze are Hateful Eight, the Tarantino movie.
Hmm.
The
Tarantino, yeah,
the extended version of that movie is wildly beautiful. It's like 4 hours long. It's split into like four chapters, and like it's just I think it's shot on 17 millimeter. It's ridiculous. And also There Will Be
yeah.
Blood. Paul Thomas Anderson's There Will Be Blood. Like
Hmm.
that's a movie that's like,
Love
you
it.
could sit there, analyze everything frame by frame, and you could obviously do the same thing with comic books. Like a book, like books have been written about Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns and things like that.
Hmm.
Is that kind of what you're aspiring to do with Mad Cave? Try to make those books that are like these are pieces of
Hmm.
art and they're comics, and this is a
Hmm.
gateway.
Yep, yep. And it's funny that you're mentioning, I mean, all those There Will Be Blood, and because as writers, as creators, I think that you should be paying a lot of attention to certain movies. And for example, as a comic book writer, if you take a look at this movie Hero,
Hmm.
which is Jet Li,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
take a look at that movie and you break it down, you're going to see that every scene, like most of the scenes that the story is taking place, you're going to see a variety of different color choices for
Hmm.
each scene that you start to understand when he's with the emperor, then when he goes and he talks to these two other dudes that then he has to battle,
Yeah.
and then the battle, every single situation, every single scene has a different color palette. And when you're writing comics and you try to actually like set up the mood for a scene, you're trying to break it down even more. Okay, so what are my color choices for this scene? What do I want to convey? Okay, and this next scene, what do you do? And that's how you try to start to distill it. And yeah, some people they just leave the decision, I mean, to your colorist and be like, okay, try to interpret the
Hmm.
material and let's have fun with it. But it's not wrong if you can actually go an extra step and just try to give a little direction. Okay, if this is going to be a battle scene, okay, I want to really make it I don't know, is it during the sunset or is it at
Hmm.
night? And then you have a beautiful performance between two characters and they're dancing, so you have like more soothing colors to try to convey their chemistry, et cetera, et cetera. So I try to pay attention a little bit more than I should to those type of things.
Yeah.
So yeah. Sorry,
No.
you just basically just struck a chord with me that I love, and I could talk hours about this stuff.
Well, that's why you're here, like where do you see this going? Like where do you see this taking you in the next like few years with Mad Cave, Like what where do you want the company to be and what does 2023 have? Are you guys doing conventions? Are you guys putting out like a lot more stuff? I know you guys just put out
Sure.
that Nottingham special, I believe, last week.
Yep. Yep. Well, for us, we are a publisher first and foremost. I know that nowadays, I mean, with the Hollywood and the Hulu and the Netflix and all those stuff, and yeah, I want to turn my comic book into a movie. That's great. And I think that when your IP transcends the medium and it basically becomes something else, I mean, there's no bigger flattery than that. But we have to concentrate and we have to be the best we have to be the best publisher possible. So in the next few years, what we want is the top five with the amount of content that we're bringing. I mean, to our fans, bringing creator-owned books. We're working on some licensing deals that I can't talk about a lot about those. No, I can't say Jack. I'm sorry. But you guys are gonna be like you guys are gonna be super, super happy when you guys hear the news. But also because Mad Cave has another imprint called Maverick, which is our young adult imprint.
Mhm.
So we're really, really starting to actually like ramp up content. And for the next years, I mean, the YI segment is also going to be very, very amazed of the stuff that we're putting out. And we also have paper cuts, which is your middle grade line. And this is just for younger people that actually like really like the Smurfs or Geronimo Stilton or Asterisk, those types
Mhm.
of books for them. So for the next few years, what we want to do is concentrate on our content, take care of our creators, do as much marketing as possible, go to as much conventions as the budget will allow. So we can meet not only creators, but I mean fans and really look, there's no better feeling when you go to a convention and you talk to a fan that is passionate about your work. I mean, there's no substitute for that. There's no substitute for actually just like enjoying and taking all that in when you go to different conventions because it's wonderful. It's wonderful because we're all there because we love this medium. We love pop culture in a sense, and that's really what we want to keep on doing, Rich. We want to be the best publisher out there.
That's awesome. Are you doing MegaCon or New York Comic Con this year?
We're doing MegaCon and we're doing Emerald City and we're doing San Diego and we're doing New York and
Awesome.
we're doing ALA and we're doing I think we're doing C2E2 and yes, I mean we have to be where the industry's at. So we need to promote and we need to talk about Matt Cave and and put the brand at the forefront.
That's incredible, man. That's a big schedule too for the year. Like those are huge. Like especially going from MegaCon. I
Mm,
might might go to
yeah.
MegaCon. A buddy might drag me there. And C2E2. I've never done C2E2. Like I kind of want to check that out. I hear it's fan. I love Chicago. I hear it's a great con.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, if you come to MegaCon, I mean, hey, this is our is going to be our backyard. So basically, I mean, please, I mean, we should get together, have coffee, show you the
Sure.
books, whatever you want. So, but yeah, we're going to we're going to try to again, you try to promote the brand, you try to promote your creators as much as you humanly possible can. So,
That's always good, man. And like, you can't beat that atmosphere at like a good convention. Everybody's usually generally super nice and super friendly, and like it's always just like a good amount of like positivity there.
mhm,
Let me ask you a couple of more
yeah.
questions and then I'll get you out of here. Uh, this is one I ask everybody. What is your favorite sandwich, Mark?
I think that it would have to be a BLT. I love a good BLT.
Great choice. Great choice. I think I've had some fantastic BLTs in Miami as well.
Well, then another reason why you must come to Megaton then.
Yeah. Listen, I like MegaCon's in Orlando, right?
Yes, but
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
all I mean, a lot of things that happen in Miami get translated into Orlando, so we can work on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Where could everybody find you online?
MadCaveStudios.com. That's usually where all the information is at. If you guys want to subscribe to our newsletter, we promise that we're not going to nag you every single day and bombard you with different information. Just a friendly newsletter every week, tell you where we're at, where we're putting out, so you can keep track of the books. Mad Cave Studios is in all the socials, whatever you're into, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Me, I'm in Twitter and Instagram. That's where I spend most of the time. Uh, you can check me out at Mark London MCS. That's Mad Cave Studio. So Mark London MCS. And yeah, I try to post regularly, let you guys know what we're doing and what we're all about.
Do people send you a lot of unsolicited pitches on social media?
Yeah, and you know what? I really feel bad because for us was different when we started Mad Cave, but really we were trying just to put the word around and even it's just like, listen, I'm not telling you just to take our stuff, but just like, hey, can we get a shout out or what do you think about this and stuff? And it was so hard. Now when people send us unsolicited material, it's so hard because we are not allowed as a company to check unsolicited material uh, for a vast number of reasons. I mean, because we might be working on a book that is very, very similar.
Right.
So, and then you expose yourself to a lawsuit or something like that. And two, because generally these things are looked by a committee. That's why we have our editor in chief, and that's why we have a publisher, and that's why we have um, a senior editor and associate editor. So they tend to look at this stuff and we try to be like very respectful of what people are sending and how they're sending things. So yes, but you have no idea how many of those I receive. And unfortunately, like I can't answer people and I feel so bad when I just tell them like go to the MadCave website,
Mm,
properly submit your work and a lot of people think that it's on me that I'm the one that actually has to
I'm
make
sure.
the decision and it's not to be honest. I tell people and be like yeah sure no I kid you not. That's why we have a team, and and we basically just brainstorm and we try to now put out. I mean, what we believe is best for the company and the fans. So, but yes, it's tricky. It's tricky. But that's also what we do every year at Talent Search, so that we basically just open the doors for anybody to try to actually submit their pitch or their ideas to Mad Cave. And if we love it and if we're blown away, believe me that we're gonna get you printed.
That's awesome. I like the fact that you're bringing that back because I remember back in the day, Marvel and DC used to do that until I think it got overwhelming for everybody on the editorial staff.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, and it does get harder and harder every year because again, our popularity has grown,
Hmm.
so people want to be associated with us and people want to be part of Mad Cave. But again, the shot is there, and I think that gonna keep on doing it. As a matter of fact, I mean, last year we opened it for colorists, and we're this year probably we will just do letters and a lot of different things. So for people to take a shot. So if they want to submit their work, that's the proper channel, and that's really the golden opportunity.
Awesome, Mark. Listen, I really appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me, Rich. And again, thank you so much for promoting our work and for being in our corner.
Cool, man. Mark, I will see you at a convention one day. I could not make it to MegaCon this year. It wasn't in the stars for me, but one year I'll go down to Florida, visit MegaCon, do a little sand and surf, hang out with the creators, hang out, buy a bunch of stuff that I probably don't need to buy, and maybe ship it home to myself. Or if I make the drive down there, I could load my car with whatever I get at cons. It's always very dangerous. But I would love to actually hit more cons in the country and visit Mad Cave and visit all the other creators that I like, and hopefully have a nice cup of tea or cup of coffee with Mark one day. Thank you very much for coming on. My book of the week this week is Star Trek Defiant. Listen, I love the creative team on this book: Christopher Cantwell, Angel Unzueta, Marissa Louise, and Clayton Cowles. Great book. You have Worf stealing the Defiant. You got Spock. You got Ro. You got lore. To me, this book paced like a Next Generation episode. It makes me want to catch up on the other Trek books. It makes me want to catch up on Picard because I've fallen behind on Picard. I don't know about you guys. It's hard for me sometimes to pick up a book based on a TV or movie property. It has always just fallen by the wayside for me. But this book is fantastic. I could not wait for it to come out. I had it pre-ordered at my comic shop. First thing I read this week, and absolutely fell in love with it. I can't wait for more. And it's always awesome to see Worf in like a starring role too. Next week, all the way from New Zealand, we are joined by Bloody Samoan Mikko Mulupola. We talk art, comics, collecting, video game, action figures, everything. I think you're sensing a trend here. And I also think I'm going to start doing these every week again. So I'll see you next time, my babies. Later.